the board on that one. Entirely how I feel also.
Corn hair?
Corn hair. Somebody had to say it. All right, this has been great so far, but now it's time to welcome our featured reader tonight. That will be Adam Crittenden. Adam Crittenden holds an MFA in poetry from New Mexico State University, where he was awarded an Academy of American Poets Prize. He also serves as an editor for Lingerpost and Puerto. His work has appeared in decomP, Bayou Magazine, Metazen, Barn Owl Review, Whiskey Island, and other journals. Blood Eagle is his first full-length book of poetry. Currently, he teaches writing in Albuquerque at Central New Mexico Community College. Ladies and gentlemen.
So, thank you all for coming out. This is a great honor. I want to thank Becky, who's not here. She helped set it up. Dan, where's Dan? Dan, thank you. That was amazing. Nick, as always, my editor. I don't feel obligated to say you did a good job just because you're my editor, but you did do it. That was great. I always appreciate Nick's reading style. He really gets into it, and I admire that. All right, so I'm going to be reading from Blood Eagle, which, as was said, this is from Goldwake Press, my first collection of poetry. I was really excited to put this book out. I'm not going to lie, it's a dark book. Don't let the colorful cover fool you. There are some dark moments, but I think it speaks true to the human experience, especially when concerned with violence and understanding how our bodies betray us sometimes. Our bodies and minds aren't fully connected in some ways. So, enough of the banter. I'll get right into it. This poem is called Triage. I throw a fistful of leeches at the wounds, and this is when you remind me that we're beyond leeches. Specifically, we are at the point where we need to get our priorities right. When we stroll through our empty house, we realize that all we've ever done is pretend to be human. We've cut the superfluous limbs and cauterized them to limit the bleeding. We've repeated the behaviors of our neighbors, our celebrities, those we call our friends, our family. You tell me I've lost the ability to copy and paste the husks of others onto my person. I've never been more scared in my life. Actually, I've never been scared until now. Does anybody have children here? Woo! Nobody. I know you do. Corn hair. Anybody else? All right. Do you ever fear that your children will kill you one day? I just gave away the punchline, speaking of punchline. But here we go. You're immortal, but you don't know it yet. You hang me on the mounted, branched antlers, pushing my lungs through my chest for me to look down on. Such an unfamiliar part of this body. There is no blood. Instead, there is water. The water runs to your feet and you shiver because it's cold. You tell me your children love you, and maybe they do, but maybe they don't. You will find out when they try to kill you. Apparently that was a big fear in the days of mythology, where everybody was getting killed by their kids. So enjoy. This one is titled Possessed But the Opposite. This is a poem that is one of the poems that are remakes. What I did was I found poems by famous writers, titled poem, because I thought that was interesting. And I remade them in the sense that you might remake a movie, but I also cut and added and tormented these poems that existed and made my own product out of it. So a little bit of co-optation, I guess. This one is by Elizabeth Bishop, where the source material is. And again, it's Possessed But the Opposite. And at one point, I will need some audience participation. I know my wife hates this. She's already shaking her head, but I'm going to do it anyway. Does anybody know the song by Nirvana where they say, I think it Smells Like Teen Spirit, where they say, here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. I'm going to need you to sing along when I give the hand signal. Okay, can you guys do that? Yeah. Some people? All right. Some people are like, screw you, I'm not doing it. But we're going to do it anyway. And I do need one person, since it is a mix with techno, to do one of these. Will anybody agree to do that? Nick, you're gonna do it. Here we go. Possessed but the opposite. Nobody gets paintings of themselves done anymore. But if you knew a guy, you would. I believe this because of the way you squint your eyes when you smile. You don't want anyone to see your crazy eye teetering off into a psychotic distance. The car radio plays a remix of Nirvana and techno. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. All right, thank you. See, that's what it's all about. We drive across the earth's crust in search of your family. They have dispersed and fled into the collateral people, escaping their memories of you because they think there's a devil growing within your meat, waiting to burst open and shed you like a wet coat. They don't know that instead you shed the little devil, a relic of imagination that didn't have a snowball's chance because you were much, much worse than it was. I think I'll skip that one. I don't know where my timekeeper's at, but I'll figure out where I'm at. This poem is titled, I Have a Bad Feeling About This. If you're a Star Wars fan, you might have recognized that. It's a quote from Star Wars. It's in every movie, just for your information. I have a bad feeling about this remake of poem by Charles Simic. Every morning I forget how it is that my shoes appear at the foot of my bed. Earlier this morning, I reached for one and happened to notice a wormhole inside. The foot-sized portal revealed a labyrinth of magma and minerals, quartz and skeletons. Is this hell? I wondered. I walked to the corner store in my wormhole shoes, fearing that I might slip and fall into the earth's core. A second later, I fell into the earth's core. There was happiness there, believe it or not. The carcasses of people from the past sat beautifully in their respective thrones of crystals and stalactites and stalagmites. I woke up in my bed. If my shoes could talk, they would wonder how I got there. Another remake, this one's called The Wax Museum. Not much background you need to know about this. There are endless reasons why we failed as people. Maybe it began when I received a card from you and you never wrote back. I thought I would have written back, but you know. I remember the Alamo reenactors and how we wondered if being one was a full-time job. You pointed at Davy Crockett and said, what about him? He's a part-time plumber who divorced recently. He comes out here on Tuesdays and Thursdays because he enjoys the history. After the second month of reenacting, he began to hate the tourists, especially the tourists who confused him with Daniel Boone. Once he's upset, he gets more upset with himself because he didn't do well in high school history, and he wishes he had because he liked his teacher. You said I could not be further from reality. You said, he's happily married and moonlights as a chef, but he doesn't need to because his family is incredibly wealthy, God wealthy. We crossed the street and entered the Wax Museum. There was a massive predator replica that I had to take a picture with, and I didn't know whether to smile or not. A couple more poems here. The one that I want to read next has a little bit of backstory. So there was an incident, I guess, that was documented on the internet, as much things are nowadays, and this boy fell and scraped his knee at an ocean somewhere. And there was an abrasion, some minerals and things got in there, and they didn't think anything of it. Well, I think after a week's passing, it swelled up to the size of a baseball. And the mom took the son into the doctor. The doctor cut it open, and out popped out a sea snail, living, alive. So a sea snail somehow grew inside of this child's leg. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. I know it sounds like one of my crazy poems, but this is reality. So I saw that and said, yes, I have to write about that. That will be done. So this is the boy who had a sea snail growing in his knee. Maybe 15 years from now, the boy will remember what it was like to have a pet growing inside of himself, depending on its host to be kind. Or maybe he won't. Eventually, the internet forgets his story, and the snail is long dead. Its cells and molecules spread across the city like microscopic tableaus for a scavenger hunt nobody cares about. In fact, I see the boy now, riding the subway to his cubicle. This poem's titled, The Happiest Place on Earth. This is a remake of a poem by Alice Notley. For what it's worth, if you're a fan of Alice Notley, she's a great poet. In my opinion, her best work is Descent of a Lead. It's an epic poem, essentially, and it's brilliant. I definitely recommend checking that She has 3 poems titled Poem, so she really got into that for a while. This is one of them. I don't remember which one, but it's one of them. One of my remakes, anyway. Our animatronic summers at Disneyland made us forget the wars we committed to, the wars we shook on and agreed to. Later that year, in the winter, cows surrounded us, their backs glazed in snow and their hooves dipped in flat brown patties. More time elapses. I cock my head to the right because it makes my neck feel better. Or perhaps the world's poles are up to something again. You ask me if I've dreamed lately, and I quickly say no, because it's true and I've noticed it as well. That's a strange thing. When you don't dream for a while, you think something's wrong with you. Maybe it is, or maybe everything's normal at that point. Who knows? This is my final poem, and this is titled Blood Eagle, the title poem of this book. Just to give you some backstory, my version of Blood Eagle is very different from history's version. If you research Viking history and lore, there is this concept which historians are torn whether it actually occurred or not because they have no physical proof, but it's been documented in their artwork and so forth, of the concept of a blood eagle. And what that is Vikings would find their enemies, they would pick one of them, slice 2 big fat holes in their back, rip out the lungs, and have the lungs appear as wings in the back of this enemy. And sometimes they would stick this enemy, dead of course, on a pike to threaten the other enemy and say, don't come here or else this is going to happen to you. So a very violent image, but in my sense of Blood Eagle, no one's doing it to us, we are doing it to ourselves. So that's something to consider. Blood Eagle. Wet, slimy trees blow sideways. The storm is on its way. We rationalize that our ancestors suffered enough punishment for the rest of us while we sit back and watch the electric clouds gather overhead. The gray storm air arrives and vivisects our torsos until our lungs burst from our backs. They gain momentum as they flap and we fly away, breathing and moving simultaneously. To those who see us, we are both angels and hellions, winged and peaceful and red and bloody and sad. You ask me why we haven't died yet. I don't have an answer, and that bothers you. We arrive at a cold mountain perch, our lung wings exhausted from the distance we travel. When we land, our lungs absorb back into our chests. The plan all along was for us to end up somewhere impossible to leave. Strange, I knew this would happen before it happened. Thank you very much.